Okay, well, thank you everybody again for joining the webinar this afternoon. Today we're going to be covering how your school can optimize the use of OneNote, Microsoft OneNote. Our presenter today is Richard Ryan. So before I quickly pass over to him, I just wanted to cover a couple of housekeeping things. First of all, just for legal purposes, please be aware that we are recording this session. We'll make this session available on the Microsoft SkyDrive link that many of you are aware of. If you haven't seen this before, don't worry. I'll be sending a follow-up email and I'll put the link through to that. And we will slowly start to move over the recordings to the Microsoft Education website as well. Finally, Richard's going to stop every 15 minutes to ask me if we've got any questions. So during that period, please feel free to take yourself off mute and ask any questions. And secondly, if anything does come to your mind, you can use the iron window in the bottom left-hand corner. Just ask any questions. I'll be monitoring that in my emails. So if you have anything you want to ask, don't worry, I'll make sure I see it. So without further ado, I'll pass over to Richard.
Thanks, Cooper. Hi guys, my name is Richard Ryan. I work in the education team here in Microsoft Australia. I'm the Innovative Schools Program Manager, among a few other things. I've used OneNote since I was in college, since I was in university back in Ireland. And on the point of Ireland, if I start speaking too fast, just ping Cooper and he'll tell me to slow down, because that can happen very easily. I've used OneNote for years. Most people looked at me and have always looked at me and said, what is that? It looks great, but you've no idea. Many of you, I don't know, you can drop Cooper an IM to say if you have used it. It's just interesting to know how much experience people have in it while I'm going through. But most people know what Word does, they know what Excel does, they know what PowerPoint does, and they look at OneNote and really have maybe opened it and are a bit scared by this completely new environment that just looks alien if we're used to the more traditional office products. And OneNote basically is defined as a digital notebook. And what a digital notebook is, and I prefer the analogy of a ring binder that we all use to keep pages, sections, and we divide the pages using page dividers. And really what Microsoft has done is they've created a digital version of this. Every user is different in OneNote. It allows you to decide how many notebooks you use in your daily work, how many sections, how many pages, and allows you to create section groups and all different hierarchies within it. But I'll go through how I use it. You can see my notebooks on the left, my sections on the top, and my pages on the right. And I'll go through how I've used it, how I have used it in my experience in schools as a student myself, and I'll dip into how I use it in work as well. Because it is not just for teachers and students, but in any admin or management capacity, it's a great way to organize you. OneNote allows you to gather, organize, share, and present all different types of content, information from one place. No longer do you have to flick between programs, between PowerPoint, Word, even the internet to look at images in the middle of a class or in the middle of a presentation. You can keep them all in one location in OneNote. So let's go through the basics and maybe try and define exactly what this analogy of the notebook looks like. You can see here how a typical class notebook of different sections for different subjects are converted easily into either notebooks or sections and pages. If we go down, I'll skip down to OneNote at school. And what OneNote allows you to do is it allows you to take content and insert links to content such as pictures, text, links to files, print files into OneNote. So no longer do you have to maybe scare yourself with saying, oh, this is another new program, I'm going to have to redo everything I've done in Word and PowerPoint. I can just either print all my existing PowerPoints and Words into OneNote or drop them in as file links and use OneNote as the central location you go to every day in the start of your lessons or the start of your class. I came across a teacher once when I was back in Ireland who opened up every single web page and document he was going to use for the day, and he generally started with about 40 windows open during the day, and as the day went on he closed these windows as he used the content. Well, what OneNote allows you to do is OneNote would allow him to have one window open, just OneNote, and he would have links to the files, links to the web page, and just everything is one click away. The canvas, or the digital paper that allows you to drop images, text and everything into OneNote, is slightly different to what we're used to in Word. It's of infinite space. So what this allows us to do is to increase our fluidity of thought. We don't have to go to a new page. We can, as we said, we all work in different manners. So I can make this page as long or as short as I want, depending on the size of the laptop I'm using, depending on how I organize my notes. And that allows you to do great things for researching. So when you're just grabbing images, grabbing links, and you can just keep dumping things in, it increases the ability to have a digital scrapbook, as opposed to being restricted to a certain page size with certain formatting. OneNote allows you, and you can see I'll just start typing anywhere here. And then I can start typing down the very bottom if I want either. As you can see, I as the user are completely in control as to where I insert anything. And again, I'll show you quickly. I can insert a quick picture, and that picture is movable around anywhere around here, increasing the idea of this digital scrapbook or notebook or whatever term you want to use. As you can see here, there's many different types of media we can insert. We can insert links, we can attach files. As I mentioned, one of the most powerful ways and easiest ways to move to OneNote is having a file printout. So rather than having to go to PowerPoint to present and change programs, if you want to start annotating and you want to present from OneNote, we can just very easily print this PowerPoint deck into this OneNote. And as we go through the day further, you'll be able to see how I was able to it just printed it straight in for me. Excuse me. So we're back, sorry. So as well as OneNote allowing you to host all of your files, your images, any tables, anything that you use in your class or in your daily work, it also allows you to organize. And it does this through what are called tags. And tagging allows you to organize information and to group information in certain manners. And I'll just quickly, rather than go through everything, just show you the list of tags that I have available to me. And if I was working in a school as a teacher, I could set any of these tags here to be homework set for Year 5 geography, homework set for Year 6 whatever, maths. And at the end of the day, I can pull a quick report on the tags and find out exactly what I set the class to do yesterday and what I set the class to do for the week, depending on how I structure my tags. So it increases this thought of everything being one click away. And on that point of everything being one click away, the search function within OneNote allows you to search everything within every notebook in one go. So if I just search for science, it pulls up my science notebook, or it pulls up some other posts that I have. So I can click on a blog post that I wrote a while ago on 21st Century Skills, and it pulls up science. Not alone does it search text, but it also searches images. So any text within an image should be able to pull up in an image. So I'm trying to find out what images. Sorry, I hadn't that prepared. What images I have ready, but all text in images is searchable. So if I was to go to, and I can do it very quickly, take an article from the internet, just take a screen clipping of it, which is very simple. It's Windows S. I can just copy that to my clipboard, and as I paste that in, and this is basically modern photocopying. If I do a search now, you'll see that Stephen Collins has been searched in that image. So it's an intelligent search. So OneNote allows you, as I said, to gather, organize, share, and present information in one place. The real powerful aspect of OneNote is collaboration. This is when it really brings the real power and all the different functions of OneNote to life. So these are some demo notebooks that we use in Windows in the Classroom and some different programs. And so I'll just show you the idea of what a rich teacher's notebook could look like. As we said, OneNote allows you to have a structure that's completely defined by yourself, but it also allows you to collate all the different information and files that you have. And instantly, you all know as teachers and educators that every teacher has enough information to write a textbook, whether it be photocopies, whether it be different publications, different PowerPoints, Words that you've created yourself. And to be able to gather all this information into one file and one notebook to provide to your students, provide to your colleagues, is quite powerful. And the idea that further to providing them all of this information in one location, to give them the ability to collaborate with you and with their different colleagues and classmates to improve and to develop and to collaborate on content and projects within that environment is a real game changer. So if I just open up, so I've showed you, this is what this looks like as an introduction. I've taken images. This is what a typical class could look like. So I have my notes here that I want to go through with my class. I have a picture of somebody I want to talk about. And as you can see, because I've pasted, and this is one function that allows you to really help your referencing, is that everything I copy in comes with a hyperlink. So I know exactly where this stuff was referenced from. Very helpful for teachers if we're correcting any homework that was done by students, that you can simply say, it's not difficult to collect your references using OneNote. It's just going to be there for you guys, and I can rest assured that you're not making this stuff up. Also, another feature you'll see here is that this little ST and blue bar shows me that Sean Tierney edited this recently, and he inserted that content. I can monitor who is adding content. This is what a file looks like when you just sit it there, and I can just double click on that and it'll open up PowerPoint for me and the file, as opposed to having to go into my Windows Explorer and drill down through photos and photos and photos. I can just, with a little preparation the day before, just click on the icon and it opens it up for me. Not alone is OneNote just on your desktop. So to enable further collaboration with everybody and with you across multiple devices, OneNote is available in web app version. So I've quickly opened up the exact same OneNote, and we can pretend this is a different user or this is a different student, and I can move this file. And all I've done is I've loaded this OneNote into SkyDrive, and I've shared it just by emailing a link. Very, very simple. So I can start editing this, and I can put some notes into Sean to say, where did you get this content from? And I've added, just see, I've added a little tag there. So say I did that, me and Sean were working on our basketball project, and I saw this on my web app, and I put this question in at night. If Sean is on his laptop, he can see that actually Aurora has put in a comment, and that now I can respond to it. So I can say, and as Sean has left a tag on that, I can tell him, yes, I've seen it and I've answered your question. And I'll just show you the reverse. See how quickly this just replicated itself within the web app version. And if I, as a colleague, or working on a project together, you can see that the information transfer is seamless. Now, OneNote at the moment comes in a few different versions. We're currently demonstrating OneNote 2010. OneNote 2013 is in preview at the moment, available for download and for release soon. And also there's a version called OneNote MX, which has been developed for Microsoft Windows 8, and specifically Windows 8 more tablet versions. So I'll just jump into MX very briefly and just show you how it has been developed for more touch. Cooper, can you confirm you can see that?
Yep.
So this has been developed for a more touch-enabled experience, and Cooper can tell you if I'm lying. I'm going to do everything here with just my finger and pen. So as opposed to having a toolbar across the top, OneNote MX is designed for your thumbs, your fingers, and just a pen. So if I just type in here using my fingers on the pad, this is the chord. And now, as opposed to having to go into a menu, OneNote MX is designed with this circular editing table, which allows me to perform all the tasks that I would have normally done and that I would normally want when editing text, working with text. I can just create here, just change the color, highlight it in yellow, move it around, and everything is enabled for a very simple touch. As you'll see, the design has changed slightly, again, to a more app-based experience where you have remove as much of the information around your core task, your core information as possible. So I can flick between my OneNotes, I can flick between my sections, I can flick between my pages rather easily. And with just one swipe, I pull away all that extra information away. And that's all I'll talk about OneNote MX, but just that it's available for download for Windows 8 tablets from the Windows Store. It's a departure from the rest of the OneNote programs. It's very interesting, and it will provide you, especially if you're using Windows 8 tablet in a classroom environment, or specifically where I have seen it used is in a PE environment. In Campbelltown Performing Arts, I've seen the guys there, they take video of themselves using shooting hoops, and they can walk around and look at the video of themselves shooting and seeing where in their style they've gone wrong instantly. And the teacher can then do some instant feedback, and I'll demonstrate how that instant feedback works. But as you can see, it's a much cleaner environment that is suited to a more tablet-based device. So I'll flip back to OneNote 2010 now, and we'll just move on to marking and assessment. So you can see that it's a great way to collaborate for collecting information and for compiling projects, but also to allow teachers and students to provide assessment on their work. So I'll just change notebooks. Actually, I'll just change this section here, and we'll just do a quick demonstration. So if I was a more traditional correcting exercise, if I was using a laptop, I would open Word, I would either do some track changes, which is fairly tedious, bad title. We can go to another. And another comment. Or if you were using a pen, you're putting in some fairly generic comments. That a student, perhaps, unless you are able to take the time to speak to every single student, it's difficult to get that personalized feedback. So maybe that's an example of more traditional marking. But with OneNote, it allows you to record audio or video while I'm assessing a student's work. So I'm allowed, as you could see earlier, with the instant feedback and the instant transfer of information, to mark up and to manage a student's work in a more timely fashion. I can have more instant interventions into their work and give them more as personalized feedback. It's the same amount of work if I was correcting anything as I'll demonstrate, to just put a few verbal comments on this essay, and the student knows exactly what I'm talking about. So if the student had done this essay and they've put it into OneNote here, I can now insert, record audio, sorry, I went on mute. So I don't know where I dropped off there, but I will just say that OneNote allows you as a teacher to correct work within OneNote and provide instant feedback while you're correcting. So the student gets, every individual student gets that personalized feedback that's more difficult in a traditional marking, or without you taking up your whole class to speak to each individual student on a one-on-one basis. So if I was correcting this at night in OneNote, I just click record audio, and now as I read this essay and as I circle and highlight things, the spelling is wrong there, say this needs a reference, this is unfinished, but overall your work has been good. We'll press stop, and now if I just play this audio for you, oh, why is that not? So as you see, people, I don't know if you probably can't hear me, but as you can see, the audio is playing and it is highlighting as I was writing. So the student can see where I was reading and can see exactly, okay, that paragraph is unfinished, and if I was to put some more appropriate comments or more insightful comments on what I have done, that the student can see exactly where these mistakes are occurring. So it's incredibly powerful for a student to get that personalized feedback, either the night before they go to class or the morning before they step into that class, that they can have that feedback and have questions on it already before the teacher traditionally would have even handed their work back. So that is incredibly, it's a game changer in allowing you access access and students access to their work and to assessment that was never done. And again, I use the same example, but I was in Campbelltown Performing Arts High School, and they were using the record video function. So I can just show you very quickly. So if I was to record video, it just pulls up the webcam on my laptop, and the students were using their laptops to record themselves in circus class, and they were taking videos, and as they rewatched the video, as they typed notes, and I can't demonstrate here because we're in link, but as they were viewing the video and as they typed notes, just like I can do here, you're just typing away, as they were taking their bullet points, every time they type, OneNote is intelligent enough to mark where in the video they were typing, so that when the teacher goes to view the video, they can see that at 1 minute 32, the student felt that their style was bad, and at 1 minute 50, that they felt they executed it perfectly. And then the teacher can comment on whether the student really understands what they're doing or not, and can see that perhaps they are, perhaps they aren't. And again, they can comment on further comment through the video, and the student can see exactly where the comments are in this piece of video work. So OneNote allows you to have intelligent peer assessment using video and audio that really is unrivaled, because as you see, we haven't left OneNote yet. It's all built into this one program. So I'll move on to some more similar stuff and I'll take the inking further, because OneNote allows you to ink on this digital paper. And specifically for subjects like science, technology, engineering, maths, and foreign languages, it can be rather difficult at times to use a traditional laptop, because it just, at times it feels like it's a bit of, the analogy we have here is that it's an Etch-a-Sketch. It takes so long to write out a mathematical formula, to write out umlauts on a U in German, you know, to actually find the symbol, and it just becomes tedious and a bit of a hassle. Scientific symbols the same. And what OneNote allows you to do is, OneNote is able to do ink to text. So I can quickly just write out a formula here. X squared plus 16x plus 7 equals 25. And I can take this, and my 1 and 7 might get mixed up because my handwriting is pretty terrible. But we'll convert to ink to math. And it's just messed up but I can correct that. And it allows you then to change that into text and continue writing, or you can just leave it in text. This is an example of a teacher's work, and it's courtesy of Anthony Smith in Berwick Grammar. Sean must have got this content. That as you're writing out notes, and as the student is perhaps doing some pre-reading the night before, they were set a task to read this. If they don't know what's going on, and again, I don't know if this will work in Link, but this play symbol here indicates that the teacher has left some video and audio notes to accompany the content, to actually give some further explanation as to where this expression t plus 5 is coming from. So I think I'll drop out, but the video will come up. So the student, if they're reading this the night before and is lost, can have instant access to what the teacher is intending and is trying to impart in that particular section. The same goes for these different sections here. So what happened was here that the teacher wrote these notes and then just simply pressed record video and read right through them, and just clicked and wrote some small expressions here and there to indicate where exactly they were talking to. And it's incredibly powerful for a student to have access to the teacher's thoughts and exact sort of workings and examples, as opposed to just reading some notes blankly. This is especially, I worked on a distance learning project in Ireland where there was a student was very ill, and we used to send every single class of hers during the day via OneNote and SkyDrive to her in her hospital bed, but she was able to take part in the classes as full as anybody in her capacity was able, and she was delighted with it. She even used to Skype into classes when she could. But she felt that she was getting full access to the teachers and all the information that the students were getting in class time. So happy to answer any questions now if you want, or I can keep going.
Yeah, if you have any questions, please just take yourself off mute and ask them, or alternatively you can just type them in the IM window. As soon as you start typing, I'll be able to see it. Great, so we've got 2 people asking questions.
So how would a student receive the content? So rather than going too technical and anything, but there's OneNote can be shared across the vast majority of any file sharing systems using either shared folders, or the simplest manner is either through something like SharePoint where you just set the permissions to be you're set up as a teacher, and you just literally you click. And I'll show you how simply it does work if you're using SkyDrive or Office 365 or SharePoint. You click File, you Share, and depending on where it is and the permissions that are in the folder, you can just simply email a link to everybody that has that notebook. So I can just click Share, and it will share out to everybody. What shows me that something is shared is this little globe here. It shows me it's on the web and that it's up to date. And if I just click into this, I can click Share. And because this is sitting in my SkyDrive, I could simply email somebody with a link to say, it's pulled up from Outlook. I can email Cooper to say, here's the link to the notebook. And if Cooper has permissions, he can just open it up, and you have access then as a student. If you're using multiple students in one notebook, a teacher can keep track of who's contributing content where by just looking at these icons. Or if teachers have a one-on-one notebook, then they can see just by naming conventions whose notebook is whose.
Great, we got another excellent question from David actually. So he wants to know, how would a class use the OneNote book? Would each student have a section or just a page?
It's up to you as a teacher. If you are in primary school and maybe you only do have a smaller number of students during the year, it could be easier to give each student a notebook themselves. If you have a broader number of students, and it really is up to you and your experience in OneNote and how comfortable you are with managing a large number of notebooks. But each student could have a section within a notebook, and you can password protect those sections so that each individual student can only see their section. So you could password protect each individual section so every student can have access to those sections just themselves. You could have class environments there where then there was more collaborative areas for students to go that, again, as I just demonstrated, you could see just by the naming conventions on what student had contributed what content, and you can see that there's nobody lagging along doing nothing in a project. Or you can, if it's a more basic homework Dropbox that you set up so that each individual student would just have a page for each individual assignment, and this is where they put it, you could set each student with just a page. So this could be final essay for Richard. This section would be final essay for Cooper. And that would allow the teacher just to see as you dropped material in. It was done. There are different, as I said, it's up to you as a teacher to do it. There are different ways of doing it. And maybe I forgot to show you earlier, but one last thing I'll show you in the structure content is something called section groups. And what section groups are is that they can allow you to have a second hierarchy of sections, so that I now can have as many sections in here in a level 2 capacity. That's could be a good way of each student has a section group that they can manage then and have their different sections within it. You need to be conscious of size and managing 30 students dumping everything in that they possibly can. It becomes rather unwieldy. I manage a OneNote notebook for a professional development program that 60 teachers contribute to. And after 1.5 days work, we had 300 megabytes of data in it, because people started putting big pictures, videos, big PowerPoints. And you just need to be conscious of that when you're managing your OneNote with your class, that you don't start putting in huge music files or massive pictures. But apart from that, I mean, I've seen OneNote notebooks that, and by the way, that OneNote notebook at 300 megs works perfectly. It just takes a while to download it for the first time. So what I'll pop into more is, maybe I'll pop into another notebook and just see exactly how, as a teacher, you can really bring your content to in a very clear, succinct manner. If you get more experience and you do start to pull in all your information and you do start to use this as possibly as a way of scaffolding a class's information for the year, so that you bring in a certain amount of information in and deploy it to the class at the start of the year and say, well, we were working through this content and you will add to what I've provided you. It's a very clean, it can become a very clean and easy way to use it, as you can set up tables of contents. So like, you know, a more fancy ebook that you might see, you might pay a lot of money for, you can have similar links to and tables of contents that are field dynamic, the same as an ebook. So if I just click on my design brief, it brings me into section 2, into the final brief section. Now I'll just use this brief section as an example that this is a method of scaffolding what you would do with a class, as opposed to maybe spending a class going through this system and process of developing a brief. You could deploy this section of the notebook to the class and say, okay, I've given you all the information you need to build a brief. I have in fact created the pages that I want you to fulfill, and by the end of you fulfilling each of these sections, I want you to come up with a final brief. So the student reads through, understands what this process is and how you create a standard final brief, and then they see the client. Okay, I have to decide my client, and they start dropping in pictures, they start dropping in ideas. The same with design style, they're dropping in, they're doing a bit of research, they're dropping in these pictures and dropping in some bullet point thoughts. Excuse me. And as we work through the different scaffolded titles, by the very end, the student is able to piece this information together in a very systematic fashion into a final brief. It guarantees that each student is working in the same manner. Now, they can decide to do it in a slightly different manner, to add a couple of sections, but you as a teacher have provided them with this scaffold around which you want them to generate this final brief. And moving on from this, we have idea generation as the next step on, and modeling and modifying, and it allows you to, it allows the student to take a self-directed approach, that you provided them with a certain amount of information, but certainly by all means not the whole lot. If I look into, and I think it's probably something that you could see, I've seen an initial use for students or for staff, is that if you introduce OneNote into a school, the easiest way to trial it is between 2-3 teachers in it, maybe in the geography or the science subject group in a high school, so that they say, okay, we'll try this, we'll try and bring together our content into one notebook that looks like all the staff are contributing, and we can collaborate all our different content together. So as I said, that for me, that's the best way of seeing, is it going to work in your environment? Is the staff, do you guys have the capacity to take on something new? I certainly believe that it's not difficult once you can sit down and step somebody through OneNote for even a half an hour to say that this is so easy to use. It's what's the word? It's completely your own. As I said, the ownership, the onus is on you to design how many sections you use, how many pages, and certainly the easiest way is for some staff to actually collaborate on a maybe a 2-person basis to just see, well, will this work for us? Can we bring together? Because there is incredible value in teachers being able to house all of their content and curriculum examples and all the materials that they used into one place, and it sort of deprivatizes what goes on in somebody's classroom. It allows a spreading of knowledge, spreading of the wealth in that point of view, but also can contribute to breaking down barriers as to what's going on in somebody's classroom and what's mine and what's yours. If people are willing to share the content in OneNote, you're only going to get richer content, because people are getting information from different places. And as I've shown many times, you can see who's contributing what. When you're researching, OneNote always pulls in where a link came from. It always brings the hyperlink, so you never lose your reference. You can bring in all your Word documents, your PowerPoints. You might see a colleague doing a presentation in science class and thought, wow, that was a brilliant PowerPoint, and you're in the middle of that a similar science class a week later, and you go, damn, I wish I had that PowerPoint. If the two colleagues are collaborating on OneNote, you just do a search quickly and say, oh, where was that science OneNote? Oh yeah, here's the science notebook we changed, and this is what she was demonstrating in this class, the difference between seasons on Earth. And so it has the collaboration with all the other features in it to allow you to bring everything together, allowing you to take all that material and bring it to colleagues, whether they are fellow teachers, whether they are fellow students, is an incredibly powerful tool. And this is taking it a little bit beyond OneNote alone, is to show you how OneNote works with other programs. So if I just quickly open up PowerPoint. So I've just opened up PowerPoint. And if I'm researching and I've got a load of information in OneNote and I need to just pull pictures across, pull information across, there's something called linked notes, and you'll see it in the top ribbon in Review, and you just click on linked notes. And as you can see, it has immediately pulled across an area that I was working earlier. So when I was just writing this quick slide earlier, I had this linked notes open, and I've taken my notes. And if I just open OneNote, I can see that there's a PowerPoint linked to this section, and I could actually in fact open it. So what it allows you to do is it allows you, not just when you're reading a PowerPoint maybe 1 year later, where did I get that information from? If you just open linked notes, you're going to know exactly where all that content came from. So
sorry, just a quick question for Peter. I want to know whether I think notes was just an Office 2013.
No, it's not, and apologies, my PowerPoint is set as default 2013, so that's why PowerPoint 2013 opened and not 2010. Linked Notes has been a feature, I think, going back to the 2007 version. So, yeah, apologies for slight confusion on two different versions of Office open here, but I'm funny like that. So, and that's one of the last points I'll say, is that once you start using OneNote, similar to reading this presentation 2 years later and wondering where the content came from, I just click on linked notes. So if I'll just close this. Close this. That if I hadn't taught maybe Year 8 science or Year 8 English for a couple of years, that all my information is ready to go again. Or if I wanted to pass on to a colleague exactly what I did with a class the year before, all I need to do is just send them over my notebook, and everything is there for us to use again. You'll notice that I've never mentioned the save button. There is no save in OneNote. Everything you drop in, land in, copy in, print in, type in, stays there. There's no save button. It can be an alien thought for somebody who, and for us all who are used to, we've all lost documents, we've all lost PowerPoints, we've all lost different documents of differing importance through the years. And to actually release yourself from having to press the save button, it's quite liberating. It feels it's more normal in a workflow where you just want to drop things in, especially in an environment like OneNote where you do a lot of research and you're just dropping in information as you feel in that scrapbook scenario. There's no reason why you should have to press save. And as you can see here, the only save button I have here is to actually package material up, whether it be a page, a section, a notebook, and to save it to give it to somebody else. So I can package up this. If I was writing a textbook for a student, I would package it up as a OneNote notebook package, and I would send that notebook package to the student, and they would open it up, and it's ready for them to use. Maybe just as one point of clarification, I will just open up you probably all have seen this folder here called OneNote Notebooks and never known what is in there. There's nothing in there. I don't use OneNote. Well, this is where everything is kept. So when you close a notebook, because you mightn't be teaching Year 7 geography, it just closes it and the folder is here, and you come back to it 2 years later and you just open up and you click on Open Notebook. Again, sorry, my default is 2013, and it just opens up the notebook, ready for you to use again. Or you package it up, and you give it to a colleague, ready to use again. So whether you haven't taught something for a few years, but you package everything up, and you just leave it in OneNote notebooks, don't touch ever that folder, it works away on its own. You never lose information. So like you saw with my screen clipping earlier, you can stop photocopying. You know, we all photocopy a terrible amount and use things once. At least using screen clipping on OneNote, you can grab an article, a picture, a video, drop it into OneNote, and if you think of it 6 months later, you'll just type it in here, and I'm pretty sure it was Stephen Collins. Yep. Stephen Collins in OneNote Basic. I obviously had a meeting with a Stephen Collins as well. And it pulls this up again, ready for me to find. So all your information is one click away, which is incredibly, it's reassuring for you to know that you don't press save, especially when you're just dropping in material, and you can start putting it together as you feel. That's the overview I wanted to give. You're probably looking at it going, okay, I just need to use this myself. And I think if you're a teacher, the best thing you could do is maybe just put together, research one class next week using it. Drop in a PowerPoint that we're going to use, put in the bullet points of what you want to cover, and leave the homework as a to-do. And then follow up next week or the following day with that class and see, does it make it a little bit snappier? Is it a little bit quicker just to have everything in one place? And maybe start expanding out from there and to use it with a colleague to collaborate on either a project or a subject that you both teach. Or go straight into the deep end and deploy it out to your students and just go for it. It's really a thing. Once you start getting to use it, I've never met anybody who can't just get into it very quickly and start using it. I mean, I could have gone into, there's plenty of other materials here, and maybe if there's anybody who keeps meeting notes or anything from meeting notes, I'll just show you one very last thing, is that all my meetings for today are pulled in here from Outlook, and I can just drop in any of these meetings and it will pull up from Outlook the attendees, the time, the agenda, anything that was put into the meeting notes and the body of the meeting content. And then I can write up the notes here while I'm in the meeting, and one click then at the end of the meeting I can click email and it will pull all that information from those meeting notes and send them to all the attendees. So that's maybe one way in which somebody in a management or an admin or any other capacity that would use something like that can just trial OneNote and see, does it work for a week or something, and see, does it make it easier. Because same with the search for any other content, you search for some meeting notes from a year ago, 5 years ago, if you're using OneNote, they'll all be here. So I'll open up the questions. If there's any there.
Yeah, there was a question just spoke a little while ago. You mentioned earlier that we could put a password on each page. Can you just quickly show David how you might put that password?
Okay. It's very simple. So it's David, I think. If you right-click on a section, you'll see password protect this section. You click on it, and we fill out this form. It's done. Be very careful that you record passwords as you set them. I would always set up a spreadsheet and set them, because if you forget the password, you can be in a little bit of trouble. So just be careful. But it's like anything, setting up passwords. Just, I would say, as a rule of thumb, always have a spreadsheet open at the same time. Don't presume you'll remember every one. But it's as simple as one click away. Is there another question there? So, guys, if anybody needs any more information, the office.com website is brilliant. It has brilliant videos on OneNote. You'll see all the information on the latest version of Office. We will be setting up locally some more information and if anybody wants a follow-up, if you go to pillnetwork.com and you go into the discussions, and I'll give Cooper the link. I'm happy to answer any further questions. I'll set up a OneNote. I'll call it OneNote OneNote Australia. I'll call the discussion OneNote Australia. If anybody has any questions, I'll set up that discussion and you can leave your questions there and I'll facilitate it. OneNote, the Partners Learning Network is a just launched network was formerly a global network that I recently have taken control for Australia, and we and Microsoft are going to run information on events. We're going to run competitions. The Partners in Learning Innovative Teacher Award for next year has just been launched and is underway, and there's some great prizes on that. You'll see that on the homepage. So if you want to go to pilnetwork.com, it's fast becoming Microsoft in Education's dynamic home space. It's where you can contact us with questions and collaborate as a community. So you can ask questions out to the world, and in about 6 weeks' time we'll be able to set up private groups. So we could set up a private group for anybody who attended here and similar events to further discuss, well, how did you get on that? There's no reason why you can't do that in the discussion I'll set up. So if anybody has any feedback in 2 weeks or a week, I'll just get a notification that somebody has asked a question on OneNote following this webinar, and I'm happy to reply to it there. So check out the pillnetwork.com. We'll be launching some competitions later on, and the Innovative Teacher competition is live, and there's a fantastic Windows 8 device as a prize, also a trip to the Worldwide Education Forum, which is in Prague this year. It was in Washington, D.C. last year for the Australian winner. So that's a nice carrot. So on that, I will hand back to Cooper, unless anybody else has any other questions for me.
We did have a SharePoint question, but I'll follow that up with John Barrett, who's our SharePoint expert. Okay, so look, thanks very much for everybody for attending the webinar this afternoon. It's been great to have so many people on and interested in OneNote. So again, please be aware of the Pill Network details that I'll send through and follow up. That might be a great way to stay in touch with Richard if you are thinking about setting up a OneNote trial in the school. So for that, well, I should say thanks very much again for jumping on the call, and have a great afternoon.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Can you answer that? So that was a pretty, that was a bit of a curveball.